Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to be talking specifically about Andrew Yang and Spiderman and Sony and Disney and the Spiderman negotiations that broke down just yesterday, and what is the opportunity here for Andrew Yang and how he should leverage that opportunity. All right, let's get into it. All right, so this is pretty incredible. Now, right out of the gate, I think a lot of times people think it's kind of funny that I talk about politics and entertainment in the same paragraph. They are incredibly well connected, in my opinion. I believe that entertainment is the new American steel. It really is. Like, we export huge amounts of entertainment, and I think it's where we have the most momentum, and it's also where we're the farthest ahead, right? It's really shocking. Like, I have started to watch some international shows, and I enjoy them. They have some cool concepts, but like a lot of times I'll watch a show, and I'll say, oh my goodness, this person who is the lead in this show couldn't even get cast as an extra in any American show. Right? It's like, we're really far ahead on a lot of, like across the board, like special effects, acting, casting, like the whole nine. Like, we do entertainment at a level nobody else in the world is even approaching, right? And you could see that in the box office. I think the American box office, if you took the box office of movies made in America and compared it against all the movies created in every other country in the world, would be factors higher, right? It's ridiculous. It's not even nobody's in our league. We are in a league of our own, right? Great movie, by the way. All right, so really like Penny Marshall in there. All right, so basically, first, so I really think that Andrew Yang should speak on this situation that has happened between Sony and Disney. And I will take a moment to define what has happened between Sony and Disney, because it's a big deal, and actually, it really is an international incident. This is an international incident that has happened. It involves three countries: America, Japan, and England, right? So this is not small news. This is international news, and this really is an international incident, and it really is a large opportunity for Andrew Yang. All right, before I go further, I want to talk about Trump. You can never go 5 minutes in talking about politics without talking about Trump. All right, so Trump, here's the thing, right? Trump, for him, international policy has equaled steel tariffs. And actually, he's accomplished a lot with steel tariffs, right? But the reality is, it really strikes me, Donald Trump put in steel tariffs because he's like, oh, steel tariffs, because steel's important to America, right? Now, the only reason that I think that is the case is that Trump is a 72-year-old man, and he actually remembers the day when steel actually mattered to America, right? Like, basically, what are we manufacturing in America? Yeah, we do make some Ford trucks now. Ford is literally stopping making cars. They're going to only make trucks going forward. We make some cars over in California that run on AAA batteries. And, like, what else do we, like, and half the cars that we create here, the cars that we create here, half the parts are coming from all over the world, right? So, like, saying they're made in America always comes with a very large asterisk, right? So the idea that America needs steel, like, it's ridiculous, right? America needs steel like it needs Gouda cheese, right? The future of America is not manufacturing. Like, that is clearly America's past, right? And, and the future of America is knowledge work, and entertainment is a huge part of that, right? So here we see, so my point is, Trump is so focused on the wrong stuff, right? Especially when it comes to international policy, right? So if Andrew Yang speaks on this Disney-Sony Spider-Man negotiation breakdown, he shows that he's actually focused on the things that matter. And this matters, right? Like, the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, has fundamentally changed Hollywood for at least a century, maybe forever. It is a huge change, right? I remember, even 5 years ago, there were like some high-end falutin, like Oscar hopefuls who were like, oh, I'm too big for superhero movies. That is gone. Everybody is getting in on superhero movies. Like, Kate Blanchett is in superhero movies now. It's Gwyneth Paltrow. Like, there are no holdouts, right? Like, it is truly transformative. All right? And Kevin Feige has created this MCU, which has shattered every single record in the world. The MCU currently has 23 films, and there are billions and billions and billions of dollars that have been made, and there are billions left to be made. And when the MCU scratches its butt, it makes international news, right? So the fact that Sony and Disney are right now fighting over the Spider-Man movie, over the next Spider-Man movie, is a very big international incident. All right, so with that said, what is actually being fought over, right? So what is the actual issue? What's happening, right? Well, the Sony and Disney have an incredibly unusual deal on the Spider-Man character and how he is used in the MCU and how he is used in the Sony movies. So Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home, those two movies are Sony movies that they made with Disney, okay? And right now, Sony and Disney they were, as of yesterday, talking about how they would proceed forward. Now, basically, Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home were made on this incredibly unusual deal, right? So basically, Marvel was not able to use Spider-Man, one of the most beloved characters in the entire pantheon of Marvel characters, is owned by Sony. Sony bought Spider-Man from Marvel Comic Book Company back in the 80s, right? Back when Marvel was a hair's breadth from going out of business, right? And they bought Spider-Man back then, and they were smart enough to keep all that material for themselves, and now they own Spider-Man today, and they have the right to make movies for Spider-Man. And Marvel does not. So Marvel wanted to fix this. Marvel wanted Spider-Man in their Marvel Cinematic Universe. So they made a deal with Sony. They said, let's make some Spider-Man movies together, and here's the deal, okay? Disney ponies up all the financing. They pony up all the money for the movie. 100% of the 100% of the cost, right? Now, what do they get in return? It's incredibly unusual, right? So one, they get 5% of the box office. They get to use Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's huge. They also get to use him in the theme parks, and they get all the merchandising. That's incredible. Now they take all the risk. They put up all the financing for the movie, right? But when the movie's done, they get 5% of the box office. They get all the merch. Disney gets 5% of the box office. They get all the merchandising, and they get to use Spider-Man in their theme parks, in their Disney theme parks. And in addition to that, they get him, put him in the MCU, right? Now, this has been going on for 2 movies, right? Tom Holland was Sony's choice for Spider-Man. They put Tom Holland in. By the way, Tom Holland is from Great Britain, right? And so he is British. That's why England is involved in this situation. Sorry, Great Britain. I'm not sure which of the 4 areas, Northern Ireland, Wales, England, or Scotland, that Tom Holland is from. But I know he's from Great Britain, right? So he's from the United Kingdom, right? So you have this situation, right? It's really incredible, what's happening here. Sony is a Japanese company, and Disney is an American company, right? So you have this situation going forward. It's really incredible, right? So basically, this was the deal, and this deal worked great for Spider-Man Homecoming, and this deal worked great for Spider-Man Far From Home, right? So Disney's like, great, and so now they're looking to make their 3rd movie, right? And Disney gets uppity and goes, hey, this has been working great, but you know what? So Disney starts negotiations for movie number 3 by saying, we want to be a 50-50 partner, right? Sony, you will pay for half of the movie, and then you'll get half the profits, and then, we will, and you will pay for half the movie, and you get half the profits, and we will pay for half the movie, and we'll get half the profits, right? And so, and then it was left unsaid that they would get to keep all the rest of the stuff they were already getting, right? Now, here's the problem with this, right? One, who needs who more, right? Does Sony need Disney to make good Spider-Man movies? There is some evidence that the answer is yes, right? They made the Raimi movies. Those movies did great, right? The Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 Raimi movies, those movies did fantastic. Then after that, I think there was at least one series of Spider-Man movies that were not well received, that were not made well, right? Which was rough. And then it had to be relaunched with Disney, right? So there's some evidence that Sony can't make a good Spider-Man movie without Disney. But Sony has had like 5 years to get better at this, right? And Sony does have the ability to make decent films. They made Jumanji, right? So, and that made $1 billion, right? So basically, if they could make it on their own, they can go back to just making Spider-Man movies on their own. And by the way, Sony got Sony got so upset at Disney's offer that, like, they said, you could go take a long walk on a short pier. We're going to take Spider-Man out of the MCU. That's what we would like to do. We'll go make our own Spider-Man movies. So Sony was like, forget you, right? Like they gave a CeeLo Green, forget you, right? Like they were not happy, right? And they really walked away from the negotiation table and were very upset. And so the question is, who needs who now? Does Sony need Disney to make Spider-Man movies? By the way, both Spider-Man movies made, this second Spider-Man movie made $1 billion. The first Spider-Man movie, I think it made close to $1 billion. They did incredibly well. They were well received by critics, and they were well received commercially, right? And Sony had not been able to do that previously with their last iteration of Spider-Man, right? But here's the kicker. Sony is emboldened, right? They had a lot of success with Venom. They've had a lot of success with Jumanji. And frankly, this situation was good for both partners. And Disney, here's my opinion, Disney should have kept its mouth shut. They really should have. They just had Avengers Endgame, which had Spider-Man in it. It was the most profitable movie in the world. Disney is winning at a level that no other movie studio is winning at. They already have 5 $1 billion movies this year alone, right? They're winning incredibly well. And so for them to get rough and start playing hardball with a partner that has been incredibly beneficial to them, Sony, in my opinion, was really very, very not cool. Very not cool. All right, so you have this situation. This is a real situation. There are millions of comic book fans and many, many, many more millions of MCU fans. And this isn't a small amount. Like, it is easily arguable that 100 million or more people in America alone have seen the MCU movies, right? It's possible it's even 150 or 200 million people, right? These movies, if there is anything that is mass market, it is the Marvel movies. They are incredibly successful, right? And there's very few people who do not enjoy these films, right? So this is a very real concern for America. This is a very real concern for Sony. This is a very real concern for England. Tom Holland's career, could definitely be damaged if this goes south, right? And Tom Holland is a rising star within England. There is a lot on the international line to be lost here, right? So this is real. Unlike Donald Trump's steel tariffs, which don't matter one lick, right? Like, America needs steel. Not at all, right? But we do need entertainment. This is a real ongoing concern for us. This is where our future lies. People love America for its movies. People don't care about America because the cars were built now. It's ridiculous, right? Like, those cars could be built anywhere else in the world and maybe better. Like, did I say that? Like, all right, so like, it's, come on. Like, so this is a very real concern, right? And it just happened, right? So today, Andrew Yang can jump on this and show that he has the ability to make good decisions in real time and show that he has focus on the right international policies and also show that he can help a situation, right? Now, I'm not going to pretend this comes with risk. Whenever you take real companies in real-time negotiation and you jump in as the president, right? That, and actually, of course, Andrew Yang is not the president yet, but he is saying, hey, I am a candidate as a 2020 U.S. presidential primary Democrat candidate in the race, in the primary race. I'm going to say, and I'm going to speak to this issue, right? He absolutely has the right to do that. And I think there's even an expectation for the candidates to speak on issues quickly and authoritatively, all right? So this is, in my opinion, what Andrew Yang should say. It should be short. It should be 1 minute long. Here we go, all right? So he should say the following. Sony, please return to the negotiation tables with Disney. Disney, stop being a jerk. That's it. That's the whole ball of wax, right? That's everything he should say. And that's just one sentence. And the reality is, now get this. I think there's some real genius in this, right? So why should he say this? One, the reality is Disney is being jerks. Sometimes Americans are jerks. I'm going to admit that. I love America. It's even arguable that I'm an American exceptionalist. I really feel that America is an exceptional within the world. I really don't think we're like any other country. I really feel we are a model for every other country in the world. It is not the other way around. And it really drives me nuts when some rinky-dink country goes, you should run your healthcare the way we do, even though we don't pay a dime for our defense. like, please, it's ridiculous, right? So, but the reality is there are some times when we're jerks. And right now, Disney is being a jerk, like a big time, man. Sony has been incredibly beneficial for them. This has been an incredibly good deal for Disney. Disney has done amazingly well. Like, they've made their money back many times over. This is outrageous that they would ask for more from Sony. It is ridiculous, right? So as much as an American rah-rah as I am, I can see Disney is being quite unreasonable here. And this was an outrageous request from Disney, from a partner who had delivered for them. And I'm talking delivered on next level stuff, man. This is like, Disney walked out of this incredibly profitable. And to go to that partner and backhand them right at the beginning of the negotiations is absurd. It's just not fair, right? All right, so I really think that, and it also shows that Andrew Yang can recognize when America is not doing great and when we need to be more fair with international partners. And frankly, that needs to be desperately said right now, because right now it really seems like Donald Trump often, he will do things that will even damage America in international policy just to spite the international world, right? And that's not cool, right? And so here Yang can differentiate himself from the rest of the candidates who won't be talking about this today, and from Trump, who is an unreasonable international policy person. So I think this is a really good way to distinguish himself. I think he should just say very, very quickly, just a one-line sentence. He could say it to any reporter he wants. It's a gigantic echo chamber, and as soon as it's picked up by some schlub group, it'll be picked up by every news outlet. That's how news works now, unfortunately, right? And so basically all he's got to do is just say, Sony, please return to the negotiation tables with Disney. Disney, stop being a jerk. That's it. One sentence. Powerful, authoritative, useful. All of that is my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Do you think he should speak on this? What do you think he should say? Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.